Growers this year have achieved fantastic control of blackgrass by and large, particularly in our part of the county here. The combination of low dormancy that we had from the blackgrass that was shed last summertime in the July period, combined with a very wet August when we had 5 inches of rain and we had terrific amount of germination before the end of harvest. The blackgrass was germinating in the fields. Big problem for farmers harvesting, mind you, but fantastic for getting the blackgrass to come. We kill that off with Roundup or with good cultivations. Pre-em treatments were applied in beautiful conditions, and as a result we've had really good control this year of blackgrass in the area. So much so that the amount of Atlantis that we had to apply this year fell by 25%, a result which I think we need to take a careful note on as a resistance is now starting to build up. And looking forward to this coming autumn, we must capitalise on the fact that we've got a very good blackgrass control this year. We mustn't let up on our control measures that we need to take, because if we take our foot off the neck of blackgrass even for a second, we know that we're going to have a big problem in the future. Because we can all remember 2 or 3 years ago when we had horrendous blackgrass control and nothing was working particularly well. The pre-ems weren't going on sufficiently accurately and the post-ems were becoming less effective, and in places parts of Essex were down to ½ a tonne an acre of wheat, and the blackgrass seed return from that is just, it just doesn't bear thinking about. And we do not want to go back to those days. And after this year, because of the very dry spring that we've had, spring cropping is not on the top of farmers' agenda at trying to control blackgrass. So we really do need to get the autumn cropping right and the blackgrass control right as well. This type of trial we have done for quite a few years now, where we've selected blackgrass strains from local farms. Depending on their resistance, we've either got very highly Atlantis resistance blackgrass, which is in the strains to my left here, and the strains on the right here, we've got something that's more akin to a normal level of blackgrass that we've got in Essex, which is only partially resistant to Atlantis. And we've got behind me up here, we've got a very wide range of treatments looking at various pre-ems in either alone or in stackings in order to see how they perform against the levels of blackgrass resistance that we've got here. Okay. But the basis of our blackgrass control in this part of the country, and I suspect in the rest of the country as well, is based on an active ingredient called flufenicet, which we've had now for quite a few years and has been highly effective in our war against the blackgrass. And it's available primarily in 2 formulations. One is in Liberator here, where it's in a combination with diflufenican, DFF, and the other one where it's in a combination with pendimethalin here, as in Crystal. And the trials that we've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years now, doing these types of comparisons, has clearly shown that in this part of the country, on our soils, which are primarily hand-sloped, chalky boulder clay type of soils, that the Crystal here, with the pendimethalin with the flufenicet, has outperformed the Liberator by an average of about 10 or 15%. And so this has been formed, the Crystal has formed the basis of our blackgrass control now for quite a few years. The main problem that we've been finding, though, in recent years with the Atlantis resistance that's getting worse and worse and worse, and these particular 2 strains in front of me are the top 3 are resistant to Atlantis, is that the flufenicet-based treatments are becoming slightly less effective against these 3R strains compared to the susceptible or a 1R strain of resistance. So we're now finding that straight sprays of Crystal or Liberator are not really adequate anymore. And we found that over the last 2 or 3 years that by stacking on top of the Crystal, we are improving control. Last year, for example, in 2009, we found that by adding diflufenican, which we have just up here, in the next treatment, adding diflufenican at 1/4 of a litre per hectare to the Crystal has substantially increased the control by something like about another 10 to maybe 15%. And in 2009, about a third of our Crystal was applied with this particular mixture, and farmers noticed a substantial improvement. So much so that in 2010 autumn, the one that's just gone, that's now increased to about 60–70%. As a bonus to that particular treatment, broadleaf weed control from Crystal DFF on my right here has been extremely good. And walking around in the spring, not only were we finding extremely low levels of blackgrass, we're also finding extremely low levels of broadleaf weeds, including cleavers. And by adding the cost of the diflufenican in the autumn, we were saving an almost identical cost of cleaver control products in the spring. So the spend that the farmers were having to make really was very, very little different. But the increased blackgrass control we were getting from this mixture was a substantial improvement over the Crystal alone. Farmers are now starting to get resistance tests done on blackgrass failure in their field, either patches or whole fields, but probably more likely patches. These resistance tests that are done, I think, can be very, very useful. And looking at the results, the resistance testing against Atlantis and Laser and Topic, etc., has, I think, been very, very accurate. But the resistance testing against the residuals, the likes of flufenicets, the likes of Defy, prosulfocarb, and the likes of pendimethalin in Stomp, I think you've got to treat with a little bit more caution, because these tests are done in glasshouse situations where they've got active growth in the glasshouse, and they finished the trial in December roughly, whereas compared in a field situation where over the winter the chemicals, particularly the pendimethalin, grinds away at the blackgrass over the winter period over several months. And as I describe it, it is rather like death by 1,000 cuts. And in this area here, pendimethalin, the addition of that into the program with flufenicet has been proving absolutely essential.